I'm James Sulkowski. Thanks for joining me for this free art lesson. We're going to talk about silk and satin because they both have similar characteristics. And what I have here is a piece of cloth that's satin. It's blue satin, and it's like a phthalo blue actually. So I mixed a couple of values with phthalo blue and white right here, and I'll mix another dark one as we go along here. So, if I analyze this, I have to think about what are the characteristics of this cloth. Well, I think it's very apparent that there's a shine to it, there's a shimmer to it. So that's the key to capturing the texture of this cloth. Well, let's start with the middle tone. Here's phthalo blue and white. I'm going to put a little bit of gray in there just to tone down the intensity. This gray is made with ivory black and white. And so let's put this on the canvas to start with. We'll say that the table edge would be about there. And we'll have it falling over the table, right off the table edge there. So, we want to simplify this. And so we're going to just start very abstractly, really, with the middle tone. See, we'll start in the middle and build light and build some darks. See, the light's coming from above and to the right. And we'll say the table edge is there. I think what I'll do now, I'll make the cloth a little bit darker here. So we'll take some more phthalo blue, some black and white, and make a deeper value. This will give the feeling of the cloth going over the table edge. So let's not worry too much about the folds just yet. So we'll mask this. And as I go along, I'll keep the folds very crisp, just because any material should be painted with very broad strokes, very crisp strokes. And don't be stingy with the paint. So this is going over. So we have a top and a side plane. Now let's keep it simple as much as possible. We don't have to paint every single fold, just paint the folds that we want to get the character of the material. So we'll take a larger, we'll take a bristle like this. This is about a half-inch bristle. Just a flat brush. Now, as I analyze this, I can see where the brightest shimmer will be along the edge and on the edge of the fold itself as it goes down the table edge. So we'll go back to this middle value. It's a little bit darker there. And here's the shadow again. So I have a nice big fold coming through here that I can grab onto. And we'll have one over here. Like that. See, it mixes really well wet into wet like this. Another characteristic of this type of cloth is it's a little darker on each side of a highlight. And so I'm just adding a little bit more blue to that middle tone and just a wee bit more gray. See, and it goes back like that. Okay, see those are really, two values. And I sort of added a half step in between those when I made that dark there. So it's like probably, well, maybe 3 values. Let's look at the highlight now. Here, this is phthalo blue with white. And there, the shimmer comes right down the middle of this, right like that. So we want to keep that nice and crisp. Keep those highlights sharp. See, if this was cotton, it would be a much softer highlight. The old paintings, the old portraits done in the old 17th and 18th century had, the models had the costumes, oftentimes with this kind of material, dresses and suits made of velvet. I mean satin. There were velvet too. We'll talk about that in another free art lesson. So, one thing at a time here. See, so to get these crisp lights. This is mostly done with 3 values, though. So far, let's get one darker value. I can get a little darker shadow in here. If I take some black, phthalo blue, a little bit of white. The black controls the intensity of the color, so it just kills the intensity. See, let's go a little bit darker there. Follow that fold down like that. Might be a dark in here. And just get a bigger brush, maybe a dry brush, and pull this together a little bit. It's fun to paint these different textures, and it's not a bad idea just to do studies like this, just to understand the texture of the material, and then put them in your still lifes as well. See, let's take a little bit of maybe a reflected light coming up under here. I'll take a little bit of yellow ochre into that blue that I made, and we'll put a little bit of a reflected light in there. And in here, might be see it's catching the back end of a fold here. Now we'll take some pure white. And we'll take this sable brush here, take some pure white, and we'll put that on top of the highlight that on top of this highlight, so it'll make it even a little bit brighter, a little bit shinier. See, like that. See, it just really hits the edges, the edge of a fold and the edge of the table. Just like that. So I hope you get the idea from this. Just the characteristics of this cloth that just has to look shiny, and the best way to do that is to save the highlights for the end like this. Well, I'm James Sulkowski. Thanks for joining me for this free art lesson, and check out my website at jamessulkowski.com.